The five possible futures of Social Security and your particular Social Security check, you, your family, your loved ones, your neighbors. We're going to talk about all five of the different things going on. Not sure if you all have watched the news the last 20 years, but it seems like we're in a 20-year election cycle, and hopefully it eventually ends and then a new cycle will begin. It's crazy. Anyway, my name is Ed Weir. I'm a former manager of the Social Security Administration. I've helped millions of people out throughout the country with all things Social Security, retirement, Medicare, Medicaid. A few days later, we'll know who the new president is, and now that will be the time to act. Now that the new president has been chosen, and let's make sure they keep those campaigning promises, which politicians almost never do, but we can at least try, right? We have to try. Give it the old Marine Corps gung ho. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. Number one is one possible future. If we don't make politicians do something, then the possible future is cuts. You can look at the Social Security Trust Fund, the Board of Trustees for the Social Security Administration. You can look at any nonpartisan congressional budget office, all the rest of it. They're looking at cuts in 9 years. That's not very far off. Time flies when you're having fun, right? 9 years. So we're looking at the years change every now and then. Every year, the Board of Trustees come out with a new report talking about the trust fund, but the trust fund will be empty in 2034, 2035, maybe a year earlier, whatever the case may be. And then only thing that will pay your monthly benefits is current people paying into FICA. So Social Security will always be here as long as, we don't give it to Wall Street or something. It will always be here, but it will be determined on pay in, pay out, essentially the same month or the same year. A trust fund was started in the 1980s specifically for the baby boomers. The baby boomers are starting to dip into that trust fund. The trust fund will end in a few years, and 17 to 20% cut. There's the 17 is if they don't bring the disability trust fund together with the Social Security trust fund, or if they don't, then it'll be a 20% cut. If they combine those two, because the Social Security Disability Trust Fund is actually good for a long, long time. The Old Age Survivors Trust Fund, that is retirement benefits, survivor benefits, spouse benefits, that's the one that's, really in trouble. And that one's going to run out a lot earlier. So anywhere from a 17 to 20% cut, that is if we do not do anything. We don't make our politicians do anything. That's what's going to happen in a few years. Number two is we can choose door number two, a 13% cut. That's essentially the choice our parents chose for us. In the 1980s, Greenspan Commission under Reagan, they said, okay, we need to do something about the future of Social Security. We see the writing on the wall in terms of the demographics, less kids, more money going to the top. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So our parents in the 1980s, or perhaps you in the 1980s, decided by not doing anything to go ahead and let the politicians raise the retirement age by 2 years. And when that happens, every time you raise the retirement age by 1 year, that's essentially a 6.5% cut. So if your full retirement age is 65 and you take your benefits at 62, sure, you're taking them early, but it's less of a cut. When you raise it to 67, it's more of a cut if you take it 62, 63. And people say, well, I just won't take the cut. I will wait till 67 so I get my full benefit amount. Well, if it was 65, you could have got your full benefit amount at 65. So essentially, you lost 2 years of benefits there. So anytime you raise the retirement age, that also includes a cut. That is part and parcel of the whole thing, is a cut. So there are certain groups, political groups, private groups that are talking about, well, we need to raise it again to 68 or 69 or whatever the case may be. So that is another decision. So we've already had the people that turned they were born in 1960. From 1960 on, your full retirement age is 67. So the 13% is already baked in. People that are born in 1959, 1958, 1958, 1957. There's not a full 13% cut, but y'all received a cut as well. But the people born 1960 after, y'all are getting a 13% cut. We are getting a 1930, a 13% cut. Yeah, it looks like I was born in the 1930s, and I retired decades ago, but nope, I'm still not there. So thank you for that comment. Number three, um, this is I call this kind of a stealth cut. I ran the third busiest Social Security on the off in the country. I help people every day through these live Q&As and making these videos so y'all get everything you're entitled to. And basically what's happening is there's kind of cuts happening right now. And those cuts are you're not able to get into the phone and ask questions. You're not able to go into the office. If you file for disability or something, it takes you months and months and months. So those are essentially kind of stealth cuts that we don't really recognize, that the politicians, because they are not supporting the Social Security Administration in terms of getting new systems. Social Security's staff is at the lowest, and the Commissioner of Social Security sometimes mentions the lowest in 27 years or 50 years, but I know my office, we had about 80, 100 employees. We needed another 20 to really address it. So staffing is a big, big issue with Social Security. Yes, it could be more efficient and everything, but when you're not able to get into the phone, when you're not able to get the correct information, that's one of the biggest reason I'm doing these live Q&As and everything, is get out the correct information. There's a lot of social media people out there that pretend they know Social Security, but they don't know the exceptions. The exceptions, they definitely have never adjudicated a retirement claim or a spouse claim. They haven't read through the 20,000 pages of policy, and they're giving out wrong information, just like, unfortunately, these people at Social Security, they hire new people. They don't have time to train them because the line is down the street. So they put them out the windows and they're giving out wrong information. So, and this also Medicare plans. This is the annual enrollment period between October 15th and December 7th. So essentially the CMS, Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, is cutting back payments to Medicare Advantage plans. Those are private companies. They're looking to make more money. So they're cutting back plans as well. Close to 2 million people have had their plans canceled for 2025 and or seriously downgraded. So it's important that, number one, we contact our politicians and say, hey, I saw you the other day or last year with your funny big scissors, cutting some ribbon, a new bridge or a new road or something like that. Well, I want you to take those funny clown scissors down to the Social Security Administration at 9 o'clock and see the line all the way down the street and talk to those people and say, how come you're here? Well, I tried to get on the phone. It took me 3 hours and they finally hung up and they gave me the wrong answer. And so get those politicians down there to support their local office. If they can't do anything nationally, at least they can support their local office. And if all politicians support their local office, then it just might help out across the country, right? That backyard type of politics, right? In terms of the Medicare plans, then you got to check your Medicare plan. If you have friends or family or relatives or neighbors that have a Medicare Advantage plan or a Part D plan, this is the most crazy annual enrollment period in decades, and it ends December 7th. And don't wait till December 7th, because the yearly meeting of the Procrastinators Club is going to happen the last week, and you want to make sure you get your plan changed, or you get a plan, because if your plan has been canceled, you go into the doctor in January, guess what? They're going to hand you a bill and you're like, I have this plan. No, that one was canceled, or we don't take that one anymore, or whatever the case may be. So please reach out to everybody. Number four, another option is to raise the taxes, the FICA tax. So FICA is Federal Insurance Contributions Act. It's basically what they take out of your check. FICA includes two things: the Social Security tax and the Medicare tax. So that is one proposal out there, is to raise the FICA tax for everybody. You pay, if you're employed, you pay half of it, and your employer pays the other half. If you're self-employed, guess what? You pay all of it. So they're talking about raising the tax for everyone. The last one, there's many other options out there, but I'm giving the big ones. The last one, number five, is to talk about the FICA cap, is just to smash the cap. A lot of people don't recognize or realize probably 99% of you watching out there pays FICA on every penny you earn, right? The 7.65 and 1.45 for Medicare. You pay FICA on every penny you earn. If you make for this year, if you make more than $168,600, you don't pay FICA on your Social Security anymore. You pay it on your Medicare. So if you make $1 million, you pay Medicare FICA forever, $2 million, whatever. Well, if you're making that kind of money, you're probably not paying any taxes at all, but we won't go there. But in terms of Social Security, the Social Security part of FICA, you're paying on it every penny. But if you make over 168,600, you're not paying it anymore. Up to 168. Next year, it changed to $176,100. And that's one of the biggest issues right there, is when they set up the trust fund in the 1980s, they miscalculated a little bit. They thought y'all would have more kids. And number two, they didn't think that much of America's income would go to essentially the wealthy and the super wealthy and not be subject to FICA tax. So about 10% of that money is not being, subject to FICA tax. And that's one of the reasons the trust fund is running out so quickly. And we're talking about 17% cuts, 20% cuts. So smash the cap is to get rid of the cap. And, if you're making $2 million or $5 million or $20 million, you're paying FICA on all of it, just like the rest of us schmoes, right? I guess. All right. So those are the five things. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of different things out there. There's a one to just cut benefits in terms of cutting spouse benefits and make it kind of income related. If you're making over X amount of money per year on a 401k or other pensions or working or something like that, then there's not going to be any spouse benefits. That's one proposal out there. But there are many other ones, but I just wanted to go through the top five and throw them out there because we're going to be changing presidents here soon, and we really need to take action. Time is definitely running out.